So, Jonathan, thank you for your time and to accept this invitation. I would like to start by asking you, in your perspective, what are the major challenges that the meetings industry is facing nowadays?
So I think there's a few aspects. Maybe I can tackle it from a technology perspective first.
Yeah.
So based on what we are seeing, based on what our users are telling us. So maybe quick background here. What we provide as Gevme as a solution is an end-to-end solution for event management. So that includes everything from the registration to the email marketing, the site check-in, batch printing, mobile app, right? So one of the challenges that we see is from a fragmentation perspective and from a technology perspective. So fragmentation in the tech.
Okay. So you mean many solutions that are available, many solutions that are involved in making just one event?
Exactly.
And the way you can put all these different solutions talking with each other is
exactly
right. Well, is this
because and that's a fact. So an event has many different aspects. There's the attendee experience, there's the backend admin user experience, there's photo booth for the attendee. So each of these they usually have a niche provider. And when it comes down to data, then that's the next challenge, right? So the first challenge is from a organizer, they have to manage all of these different platforms. And then as a result of that, from a data perspective as well, it's fragmented. There are solutions to that. There are integrations that can be done, but it's tricky, right? So that's why from our perspective, we take more of as much as we can, we try to have an end-to-end solution, which means all of the different touch points, the data is compiled in a single place. Then our organizers have a very holistic view of the data which is collected. But then, of course, we also do integrate with niche applications as well, where we can, and then we compile the data. So I would say, to answer your question, is so that's one of the challenges that we see. And then more globally, there are these upcoming trends or upcoming regulations. So from a sustainability perspective, so these are some of the things that we've been hearing from our customers, from the organizers. Yeah.
Okay. And from the tech provider, how can you see those questions to be addressed? How can you address that kind of questions?
So, of course, it's about the big word AI, right? I think it can be overhyped. AI can be overhyped. There's a lot of over-exaggeration as well. But I think this should not distract us from the real capabilities of it, because I think really it can really unlock a lot of opportunities, can solve a lot of problems. So I will just give you a few examples. So in our case, again, from a content experience perspective of the attendee, so this is where we've leveraged AI to solve the problem and to enhance the attendee experience. So we've built Snapsite, which is in a nutshell, it's a AI-powered real-time summarization tool. So what it does is it's listened to all of the different sessions across the event. And then as an attendee, you can very quickly, in real time, get the takeaways, get the summaries of each session, right? So this is a very different experience from how it used to be in the past. So in the past, it was left to the attendee to figure out which session they're going to sit down in. How are they going to take down the notes, whether it's written or recording the audio. So it was a big challenge for the attendee. So that solves it, right? From maybe a bigger problem or bigger aspect of things, of even sustainability, right? Another example of where AI can help there, and this is another project that we've been involved in, is what we call the sustainability hub for event. So SHE for short SHE. So it's a project that we've collaborated together with Net Zero Carbon Events and the Strategic Alliance of Convention Bureau of Europe. So we've partnered with them to build that platform. And what it does is, in a nutshell, Net Zero Carbon Event had a lot of resources, tons of resources, great resources, right? And the whole idea is that then planners or organizers would digest this, would go and read that. But so you can imagine how tedious that can be. Right? One document could be 100 pages. And whereby AI can also unlock a lot of value here. So just to, in very briefly, so what the SHE platform does in this case is that it will make sense of the whole corpus of knowledge, of best practices, of the regulations. And as a user, as a planner, so then they can just query that data. Basically, they can ask questions. So what would be the best recommendation in terms of planning a sustainable event in Madrid? It could even be localized to that aspect, right? So taking reference from all of the different documents that it has been trained on, so they would pull the relevant pieces, put it together, and then provide that to the user. It's a very much more streamlined experience for the user in that case.
And other areas where you see technology playing an important role, for instance, networking.
Yep.
How do you see the potential of technology here helping people getting together on an event, for instance?
Yep. So the fact is, there has already been AI-powered matchmaking to some extent. So that has already started, that has already been ongoing. What's new now, what's different now is how easy it is to leverage AI to improve the networking. So, and it really comes down to the conversational layer that AI can provide. So in terms of recommendation, for example, one of the things which is being done is that as an attendee, you can have an agent or assistant or concierge. And that assistant would then recommend you to, in terms of networking, it would be recommended to other attendees. So I could just be asking, like, based on my profile, based on my interest and my background, and my objective at this event is this, that. So who do you recommend for me to meet, right? Or to network with? But it could also be recommendations on sessions. So again, the same thing, based on my background, based on my objective at this event, what's the crafted an agenda for me for the next 3 days, right? So these are the kind of ways where I think AI is already doing that to some extent, and there's much more possibilities.
I would like to ask you also, I imagine that the work on technology sometimes can be a very frustrating job, because you have to risk, you have to try and try and try. Not always you are going to succeed. And sometimes you have to fail to be able to evolve and keep trying. How is it to deal with this context?
Yes, so probably, again, I think there will be two aspects maybe here. One maybe is internally. So how do we leverage and how do we make use of AI and how do we use technology? So we take a very experimental mindset at our company. So especially with the advent of generative AI. So we put things into place. We've used frameworks where we empower our team to experiment, to try things, and to talk about it, to share it internally. And this is where it's a kind of a pathway for innovation, right? It's to increase and to enhance innovation in that aspect. So that's one of the things that we put into place to how make it easier for our team members to experiment. So I think experimentation here is the key word, because if you have that mindset, then failure is only a learning, right? It's not a failure in itself, but you fail and then you learn, so that then you can improve from there. But then from the other aspect, there is the end user aspect of in terms of using and adopting technology. So yes, there are hurdles there. And again, to come back to the user experience here, so AI again, I think makes a difference, because again of that conversational layer that it puts on top of the on top of the tech. So in the background, there's many things happening, but then how do you communicate with the technology? It's through natural language. So I think that has been a really big revolution, I would say, from an end user perspective. Now, conversation is not the solution to everything, because based on the different problems, maybe there's other easier UI or easier ways to interact with the technology. But I think it's a big component. It's a big part of it.
And do you feel that clients are keen on trying new things, experiments themselves?
I think they are. There is this big notion that in the events industry, like adoption of technology is a bit slow. It's true to some extent, but I think there's also many reasons for that, right? Because there's many things at stake. So, and there are studies on that. So if we compare our industry to other industries, we are a little bit slower, a little bit behind. But I think it's picking up, and we can see that our customers are asking us to. They're always sharing their challenges and then looking for possibilities. And again, especially with the advent of AI, I think that has really increased their trust in how tech can really solve their problem. They are still very cautious, especially when it comes down to data. Very cautious, because it's a big
it's a very sensitive,
data privacy, data security. But yeah, I think in general we can see a more they are more receptive to using and leveraging technology.
And once again, do you think that event organizers are aware of that challenge of keeping well the data that they collect, the information that they have, for instance, about attendees and so on and so on?
So you mean if they are
aware of the risks and the responsibility of taking care of that kind of sensitive information sometimes that they have in their power?
Yes. So, and that comes down to all the regulation framework that are around in Europe, in Asia, like GDPR in Europe and EPA in Singapore especially. So yeah, they are aware of that. They do know that it's important, and they do ask us whether we comply with these rules and regulations, and which we do. So we have to be up to these. And yeah.
And in the future, in what areas do you see technology playing a key role in transforming events, transforming the experience of attendees?
Yeah, it's a big one. So the future, I think it has been a word that has been used very often in the past. So experience. It's all going to be about experience. It's all going to be about connection. So I think, and this is the balance we need to find in events. because at the end of the day, it's all about human connection. So we saw that with during the COVID period where everything went online, and it was a big blow to what events are meant to be, right? And we could see, so some were saying, okay, now everything's going to be online and everything's going to be virtual, with the idea that virtual could replace events, to replace in person, but it's not the case, right? So it showed that events really are about the face-to-face, FaceTime that you exchange, the human connection. It really all comes down to this. So that will have to be a very big aspect. But at the same time, technology. So how does technology then in that case is leverage comes into the picture, but without disrupting. So technology should be used. It should not be an obstacle. It should be, ideally, it's really transparent. Ideally, technology is used without even you knowing it, right? So I think that should be the direction where things are going from a technological perspective. And that's what we also try to do when we build and develop our products, especially from an attendee perspective, how to make it as transparent as possible. But so it will all be about finding and striking that balance, right? How is technology leveraged to enhance the experience, but without really coming into as an obstacle, a hurdle, and disrupting it should not distract the attendee from the in-person experiences. So that's the kind of direction I think things would be going.
Okay. And how important is for you to be connected with an association like ICCA? What does it represent for your business, for your strategy?
Yeah, I think this is a very important aspect of things. So even for us from a tech company perspective, because it really puts us in touch with the whole ecosystem, right? All the different stakeholders, because it's a very complex and complicated space. There's many different players and partners working together. And this is really a great platform where we can have communications and discussion with each and every key player in the industry. And the other very important aspect is that when the association is very forward-looking, is very innovative, so this also pushes us to actually innovate and because there's no need to innovate just for the sake of innovating, right? Innovation is important and useful when it's being used in a real case application.
With an objective?
With an objective.
A purpose.
With purpose, exactly. And so ICCA in that context, they do have a lot of big ideas, big projects, and then we are there to partner, to power them from a tech perspective.
Okay. And do you think that this kind of events should also be almost a laboratory, an experimental field where to try on a safer context, new solutions, new technologies?
Yes. So all comes back to like what I was saying about being able to have discussion with the different players in the ecosystem. So this is where we get feedback. We hear what are the challenges, and from one thing to the other, then we build things, we prototype things, and we showcase them, and we get feedback again. It's a very iterative approach, right? These kind of platforms is where you can get that feedback, because otherwise it's very difficult to actually be in touch with the users.
Okay. So what would you like to take from this experience here in Porto, from this congress?
Yeah, so it's my first time. So I think my experience has been great in the sense, so to see really the community. So each and every community out there is different, right? And I can see in this one where it's a very tight community, very open to sharing and exchanges. So that vibe, that atmosphere is very important. And it's one of the things that has strike me. Then from a venue location perspective, that was the other big thing for me, experiencing Porto and all the different uphill, downhill. So yeah.
Okay. So Jonathan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.